Hello everyone. This session today we will be talking about time series. Okay, so it's all about like what is time series and how we approach this problem. So before we move into it, let me talk about myself. Okay, so I'm Krishnendra and I've got around almost 10 years of experience, and I've worked in different domains like FMCG, banking, retail. Okay, and I've worked with different organizations and I have been responsible for different kinds of projects. Some of the projects involving customer churn, RFM, okay, NLP models, sentiment analysis, time series forecasting, etc. and etc. And these are some of the tools which I've worked in. So I've been associated with Grey Campus. So Grey Campus is one of the platforms which helps you enhancing your skill sets. Organizations are looking for different skill sets. So Grey Campus is one platform which will help you scale your skill set and be ready for your next interviews or your next job. Okay, now let's talk about the time series. So what do you mean by time series? So time series is something where it's a kind of data where time plays an important part. So what is time? Time may be in terms of years, months, weeks, days, minutes, hours, anything. Okay, wherever any data you have a day where you have time, so as a component, so it is called as a time series. And when in time series, why were we focused on time series? Because we when we talk about predicting future values, we predict based on time, like what's going to happen like in the next 7 days. So that's what time series is all about. Okay, so how is it done? So, like just like a regression model or a classification model, we study the historic pattern, and based on that, we predict like what, based on these conditions, what will happen. That's the future values. But in time series, we study the historic data like for quite some time. That's a trained data set. So, and based on that, we forecast well, like what's the value is going to be in the next 3 days from now, or 7 days from now, or like 7 years from now. So that's all about time series. Okay. Uh, so what is this forecast thing? Forecast is something when we are predicting the future values. So when we hear the words like forecast, predict, they both sound similar. So there is still a bit of difference between forecast and predict. For forecast, when we are predicting future values, and where time is one of the component, we say it is a forecast. We are forecasting for the next year, we are forecasting for the next month, we are forecasting for the next day. And prediction, when is not involved, we say it's prediction. Anything to do with future values is about prediction. So we can say forecast is a subset of prediction. Okay, so when we talk about predicting the future values, so there are two ways to approach this problem. One is using a bivariate approach, and the other is using a univariate approach. By bivariate, we mean we have got more than one variable into consideration. Okay, we just like a regression. In regression problem, we have got plenty of more than one variable, and based on which we forecast the future values or to predict the future values. But in time series, it's all about univariate. You have just one variable, and the other variable is time. So there are a couple of methods based on which we go ahead and build the model. One is most commonly ARIMA. The other is in deep learning, we use the LSTM model, and both are very, very efficient. If I talk about performance point of view, both have some positives and negatives, and both are working much better. Okay, so there are four components which are where time series is involved, and based on which we it helps us in like separating these components from the data and helps us in forecasting the future values. The first is trend, seasonality, cyclic, and irregular component. Okay, so now let's talk about like how this model is built. So as I told you earlier, so you for a time series model you must have a univariate data. So where time is there and the other component which you want to forecast. Okay, so first thing what you have to do, you have to group the data on a time, based on time. So if you want to forecast based on a day level, you group it on a day level. If you want to focus on a monthly level, group it on a monthly level. If you want to focus on a yearly level, group it on a yearly level. If you want to focus on a hourly level, group it on an hourly level. Okay, the next thing that you have to look for is stationarity of the data. So what is stationarity? Like for example, stationary is something, as the name suggests, it should be stationary. That is, it should range between an interval. It between an interval like control limits, like upper control and lower control, and the data should range within that limit only. So that's all about stationary data. So Dickey-Fuller test is one of the tests which tells you your data is stationary or not. And before we focus, you have to make your data stationary. Like for example, if I look at the indices, the Sensex of 2008, and look at now 2019. Not we're not considering 2020 because it has impacted the pandemic and it has declined a lot. Okay, so let's consider that journey 2008 to 2000 early 2020. You'll see there's gradual increase. So it's not stationary because it's increasing. Had it been like it's reaching 10,000 and then again going down to 15,000. So and again going down to 20 and again going to 15. So if it is ranging within a specific values, then we say it's stationary. If it's not, then it's stationarity. It's non-stationary. So it is gradually increasing. Okay, and after that we have to build a model where we have a train data, a test data, and based on that we are going to build the time series model. That's in short about what is time series. Okay, so what we have learned today, we have learned what is time series. Okay, so what's the difference between prediction and forecast? Because this is one of the most common questions which you get in interviews, because both the words are similar, but there is a hell lot of difference in both the words. You have learned like how if you get a time series, how you're going to approach that problem, and also the components. Okay, so that's all from this session today. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.